my computer. Ready?
Yes.
All right. So it's Sunday. I'm calling this the golden hour, where I speak to the most inspiring people that I've come across along my journey from Canada to the US to Europe, and people that have made a lasting impression on me. Even though, like, when we met, we were all in our Hercules moment, going through life and speed, just going with the Western flow, if you call it the Western world. And although she spoke to me a lot during these moments, I think we were coaching at a high school, and I was at the peak of my, I don't know, peak of something. I don't know what I was at, but I had a drive, I had a focus, and I couldn't see or hear anyone around me because I was so focused, because that's how I was taught to be. Very masculine, very toxic. Just not looking back, I'm like, Jesus. But my intentions were good, her intentions were phenomenal, and that is where we found our sweet spot. She coached freshman, junior, she helped with the whole entire program. She ran a phenomenal group. I was so excited to have her on my squad. Very strong, very candid, very honest, and super talented. And I just wanted women that reflected what, others were seeing. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm going to have her introduce herself, and we're going to go through just, a life with her. Like, we're students learning her life. So please.
Okay, hi. So thank you so much, Trish, for giving me an opportunity to just chat with you and chat with the folks out there, because I feel like every meeting that we have accident, it is a part of the big plan. It's a part of our purpose. And so it's just real. I feel honored to know that you have recognized that I'm a part of your purpose as you are a part of my purpose. So I really do appreciate that. And so, yes, we met in 2009, and Trish was the head coach at the high school. And I always wanted to coach. I had been coaching youths. I've been coaching young people for a lot of years in basketball, because that's one of my passions. I'm a sports fanatic. And I have been coaching my daughter, and then my son. And so the position came open at the high school. I didn't really know anything about coaching at the high school level. So I went in there to interview, and they said they had interviewed some other folks. And then they called me and they said, oh, we chose somebody else for the position. And I was like, thank God, because I certainly wasn't ready for that. And then they said, well, we want you to be a part of her team. And I thought, oh my God, yes, I'm always in the business of learning. And I thought, I've had a lot of experience dealing with young people. I've always done children's church at Bible study. I've done camps, and I just have had a lot of experience dealing with young people, which is an interesting note to note, is that I feel like I don't really have a love for that labor. But somehow I've always been attracted to, the young kids have been actually attracted to me. And for whatever reason, I believe that I've been able to pour into them what they needed. And I found out that they needed to be heard. They needed somebody to be interested in what they're saying, not just, oh, do you have anything to say? And then move on. No, do you have anything to say? And I'm interested in what you're saying. And my actions later on shows that I listened. And I think that's what young people need. They need somebody to listen, and they need someone to show that they listened, just like
Sure.
we as adults want the same thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But young people want the same thing. So yeah, I think that was the beginning of the relationship. I guess a few things about me. Let me tell you a few things about me. I am a mother of 2 children. I was married for 19 years and happily married, actually. I've never had a failed relationship. So that's a throw in my hat.
Yeah.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But so I have a bachelor's degree in business and management, which, by the way, I just a little side note, that's not where I thought I was going to be. I thought I was going to be doing counseling. I didn't. So I did that, and then in like organizational management, once again, I said, I want to do counseling, and it wasn't available. So I ended up on that track. And little did I know that the educational track was not going to be my purpose track. And so I think that that's important for us to know, because many times, we want to go to school. Oh, I love to do art. I love to do this. And we want to go to school for that. But sometimes there are other things that you need to go to school for a foundation, so that you can do what you really love. And it's not necessarily that. So that's my path with that. I am not a public speaker. I would love to be, but I'm just too shy for that. But I'm hoping one day I'm going to come out of my shell.
I'm going to duly note that, by the way.
I'm
Public
putting it in the
speaking.
atmosphere. I'm putting it in the atmosphere. I've been asked to speak several different times, and I've accepted it and done it, but I've always felt like that was just a moment in time, not necessarily, the beginning of this great thing. So that's what I have for who I am. And that's it.
I love it.
So what else?
Okay. You talked about your husband, and this is something that we kind of crossed paths very momentarily, very briefly, and I didn't understand what was happening. And I always think about this, during that time I was so involved in the program that I didn't stop to ask or know, or even, I don't know. I kind of like stayed in my lane, because that wasn't a comfortable area for me, because I come from a disconnected family, and you were very connected to your family at that time. I hadn't even started my family yet. That's the other thing. So you met me at a really crucial time. Let's just talk about that. There's a lot of things that you came through that moment, that transition in your life that many are currently going through. Do you have any words for them during that transition?
Okay, so I want to digress for a moment about our relationship at the coaching first. Let me do that first, because one of the things that I recognized when I met you in coaching, I thought that first of all, the girls were definitely scared of you. They were really scared of you because you were so intense. And I saw myself in you, because I remember the days when I didn't have children, and I was intense just like that. I was just, and I thought I wasn't emotional about things. I was just knew I had something to do, and I was doing it, and I was showing people how to do it, and I expected them to do it. And so it was real interesting for me, because I would just chuckle, because I would be like, I remember those. I remember those days. I remember those days, and I would just be like, okay, calm down, don't worry. She's not going to bite you. Just do what you're supposed to be doing, kind of thing. Yeah. And I remember this. This is one of the things I remember, because I think I think either you had your little one. You just had the one little one, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, she has no idea where she's headed. And I just want to be around to see her in another 5 to 10 years and watch her shift from here to there, because I know that's what's going to happen. I just remember that so clearly. And so here we are today, you with new eyes on, seeing that the picture's so much bigger than what you were seeing before.
Yeah.
And so anyway.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that. And I admired you, because I felt like you're knowledgeable. I feel like you were doing things. I had so much fear when I was growing up. I was afraid to step forward on things. And although at that time I did it, I saw you as a young person doing the things that I would have loved to have been brave enough to do. And so I really admired you at that time, but I also knew that there were some things coming your way that was going to change your life forever.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah. So while I was coaching, my husband was my number one cheerleader. I mean, just thinks the world of me. I thinks more of me than I ever thought of myself. And I'm so grateful today that somebody felt like that about me. And so my husband got sick And we hadn't had any turmoil, is what I'm going to say, in our relationship. So we had just had this happy thing going. And so my coping skills in my mind were limited,
Mhm.
is what I thought. So my husband got sick, and I remember laughing about it, because laughter is one of my coping mechanisms about, okay, here we go kind of thing. I remember laughing, saying God has a sense of humor, because I'm not strong enough. I don't have what it takes to go through such a thing. And so I was, really in denial about it. And this, I think this is an interesting point to just note, that I was very positive that everything was going to be okay. And many times we think that because you're being positive, we always say have positive vibes, keep positive things around you. But in actuality, what was going on with me was I was in denial. And so, as opposed to me having positive vibes and energy, I just really wasn't dealing with the reality of the situation. And so I think that's noteworthy, because many times we feel like when people, they're so upbeat and they're positive, they're going to get through this. Well, no, that's not what that means all the time. And I think it's important for us to note that, because many times when people are doing that, people will stand off, they will stand back.
Yeah.
And so the emotional support that you may need, you won't get it because of what you're projecting.
Right.
And so say that to people out there, the people who are, used to looking to people who are positive with all the energy, seeming like they have all the energy, all the answers. I say, ask them how they're feeling, and then ask them again, how are you really feeling? That's what I would say about situations like that, because those types of situations are situations that have, like, it's a mask on us as spectators, because
Mhm.
we think everything's great. And I say that to you, Trish, to say, you have kids. It's the same thing about our children. The
Mhm.
kid who gets the good grades, the kid that always has the right
Oh, yeah.
answers, the kids that's doing everything right.
Doing everything right. That's the
They
thing.
need,
They're
they
not as loud
need,
as the people in the back who are being behavioral and rambunctious. They fall between the cracks very easily. And for that, we don't even acknowledge that. That is, yes, yes.
right.
It is,
Yeah.
and it's a coping mechanism too. You've learned that from something, somewhere. And a lot of that learning happens 80% outside of the classroom, in the environment in which you're from, is how you learn to cope, depending on your family situation, depending on the pathology of your life already trajected for you, already designed for you. That is something that I've really taken time to dive into and study the most, because I come from a very chaotic background. And my one question in life from the time I was 7 years old is, why do people do the things that they do? Because I'm in class and I'm seeing Susie, whatever, is getting straight A's and being perfect. Now I feel lesser than, because I can't, I have no desire to do it, but in my childlike mind, I can't. And now I'm
Right.
thinking all of these things that are not real, and it's not helpful. But I can master and mirror my class. I can master and mirror my surroundings. So in class, I'm great. I'm quiet. I'm sitting still and I'm just smiling, because that's what we've been taught. That's easy to master. It's the other half
Mm-hmm.
that we don't have the current eyes for, like you said, to ask.
Mm-hmm. No,
Um,
absolutely. So yeah, so I think that's important, because I've been that person. I've been the person. Uh I have six siblings, siblings, and I've always been, supposedly, quote unquote, a high achiever. In my mind, I've always been the underachiever in my mind. But and I've been disregarded is the word I'm going to use. Taken for granted is another word that I'm going to use. And I think that we people who project that positive and that, high achieving personality do get they get disregarded. I mean, you don't see them. People are thinking, oh no, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go over here and deal with that. So I just wanted to really highlight that, because I just think that they don't get enough attention. They don't get enough study. People don't study them enough. And they really don't get enough credit for what the real thing is. The real thing is not the accomplishments. That's
Right.
not what
Yeah. No.
you know, that's not what it real,
Nowhere
people
close.
see that, they're like, oh, you're wonderful, you're wonderful. They don't get enough credit for holding on to everything and just bottling everything up in. They don't get any credit for that. And being able to handle all of that on the inside and still give all of this to the world, because see, the world's benefiting from you.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you're so impactful. I mean, wow, they're benefiting. And yet you're not being fed. And I think that eventually we will be depleted. And we just hope and pray that, we will have come across enough people or somebody in our life that would be that one person that would recognize that we need a refill.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so big. It's because we all go through it. That's, it doesn't matter if you're loud or you're not loud, or you're happy or you're sad, like the labels that are put on you so early, it makes you spiral, I think, because that is not an identity that you wanted on you, but for whatever reason, it became you. And people carry that. They carry that. It's heavy. It's not yours. And to detach from that after building roots, like roots kind of just wherever you're at, you kind of, you build roots. And it's hard to uproot yourself and leave those situations. It's hard to be a part of those situations. And it's hard to be drawn into that without thinking with your good intentions, and other people have their own intentions. So it's really confusing. It can be
I
real
think
confusing.
so. You said, one of the words that you said was spiral. And when you said that, what came to mind was that yes, we all spiral, but we spiral in different ways. And I think that's another thing that's noteworthy, is that recognizing the different spirals. A spiral is not necessarily me being self-destructive.
No.
A spiral is not necessarily me lashing out to you. A spiral could be me going to the gym 3 times a day, every day. A spiral could be me
going to McDonald's every other day.
Going to McDonald's, right? A spiral could be that. I mean, a spiral could be me being quiet, not saying anything. A spiral could be me turning to all my books. I'm studying. So, I mean, I think it's important for us to recognize that spiraling does not have to be what the typical spiral word means, in that, we see people being openly self-destructive. That's not what it is. And when you start recognizing that there are different ways, then once again, you can go to a person and you can say, how are you feeling? How are you really feeling? And I think you have you have to do that. And there's all these different situations that people are going through, and they need you. And I say that they need you. They need what you have. We all need somebody. You cannot, when I talk to people, Trish, and when I first meet people, and I for whatever reason, people kind of take to me. And when I want to know about you. I'm the person that wants to know about you. And that's why people kind of like me, because people want you, people want you to seem interested. And I ask people, specifically men, like, who's your best friend? Who's your best friend? And more times than not, Trish, do you know what I get? I don't have one. I have the guys. I don't have a best friend. And I feel a strong pull towards helping men to communicate better. I feel a strong pull
Oh,
towards that.
yes.
A strong
Yes.
pull. because they don't know how to communicate. And here's an example. When I came home today and I walked in the door, and my son was in his room. I walked in the door and he yells, he goes, are you okay, Mom? And I think, what do you mean? Am I okay? What's going on? And I was talking to my sister about it, and I said, and I made a comment to my sister. I didn't make it to him, but I'm thinking, that seems so dumb to me. That's what I was thinking. I thought, is that a statement? Is it a comment? Is it a question? What is it? And my sister goes, oh, he just wants to let you know that he recognizes your presence. And I said, no, I need him to communicate something to me. He's not communicating with me. And so I'm like, he's at my house. He's my son, my actually he just turned 21. But anyway, it's my responsibility to train my son how to interact with people. And not by directing him, but by interacting with him.
Sure.
And so when he says something that's not communicating, then I need to let him know that you didn't communicate with me. So if there's something you want to say, I need you to say something. And so constantly pushing that. So it's just interesting when I think about men and I think about that. But I mean, I just kind of digress, but to think about me in transition. That's really was the question about me in transition. So after I got through my, and here's grieving, Trish, oh my gosh. Grieving, oh my goodness, it's a lot. It's a lot because people think, okay, there's 7 steps and sometimes 9, right? Okay.
Where's my
And
ball of yarn?
but what they don't tell you is that one step could be, you could be in one step 10 times. You could be in all the different steps, like
in the morning.
Yeah, in the afternoon, you could be in all the multiple steps. But what I learned is that you have to focus on what's good, because death is not good. Tragedy is not good. Trauma is not good. So you have to focus, you have to know that there has to be something in it that you can pull out of. There's something in it. And when you have settled that with yourself, then you're not going to dwell on the terrible parts of things. So once you have settled it with yourself, there's something in this, and you focus on that, to me, that is the beginning of you healing at this moment. Because it's not.
And that's to say that you will do exactly what you just said. Although it's that the language, we go back to the language, right? To tell somebody to not dwell and not get stuck. And the truth is, you're going to get stuck. You're going to dwell on it, but you're going to pull yourself out of it. But in those moments, I hear you. I see you. It sucks. Let me get you some tea. We're going to work this out together. Right?
Yes.
Because I think people feel bad when they do get stuck every morning in that, whatever it is that they're going through, because they don't understand it. They're not informed that this is a natural process to healing.
Yes.
And for that, people put too much pressure on themselves. But yes, I definitely want to.
No, I agree, because what I found out was that I have an older woman who, her husband passed away last year. But before her husband passed away, we were pretty close. And so, we talked all the time. And it was interesting that right after my husband passed away, for some reason, I had to go to her house. It may have been like the same day or a couple of days. So I had to go to her house for something. And I went to her house. I never really go in their house, but I stand at the door, and she comes to the door, and she wears a wig, and her wig was like twisted. And so I went over to her and I said, sister needs, I twisted it, and I said, sister needs some prayer. And I just say, everything's going to be good, blah, 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 blah. And she proceeds to tell me this. tell this to any group that we ever come in contact with. She said, this woman was grieving, and yet she was concerned. She still could see that I wasn't right, and she was trying to fix me. And she said that, and that just kind of warmed my heart, because obviously I didn't even think nothing about it, but she said that. And I thought, that's it right there. Being able to make sure that even when you are not right, that you're still want everybody else to be okay. And so
Yeah.
once you start pouring into other people, it starts to heal you.
You have
It
to heal,
literally
yeah.
starts, it gives you a purpose,
Yeah.
and you don't even know it. It gives you a purpose because you start saying, oh, I need to do this. I need to do that. And so one of the things that I realized, and again, I accepted this, because you have to accept some things. You really do. And I journal a lot. So I write down some things. I write down all my pain and all those things. But I had accepted that I was still here. And so therefore, there were some things that I needed to get done. And I took it on as a personal, not challenge, but a personal goal, per se, for lack of a better word, that there were some things that I needed to do that were associated with the person that I lost. And if I don't do it, nobody can do it.
Yeah.
So he's still working in me, through me, and I take that seriously. I'm not going to let him down.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
letting him down, because I didn't have like 22 years with him for him to leave this earth and for it to be over. So
That's
I am
so
still
beautiful.
working with him. He's still working with me. We're working together still.
Mhm. Yeah. I
And
love
I'm
it.
so grateful that I recognize that. And I say that to say, the older lady that lost her husband, that's exactly how she's thriving. And people get upset because she's always talking about her husband, but what she's doing is she's keeping him alive because he gave her some clear instructions on how to stay alive.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
she is doing everything that he told her. So he's still here guiding her. And so whenever we have grief, it's important for us to try to settle it. You know, why am I still here? Because that's the question you ask yourself.
mhm.
Survivor's remorse. Why am I still here? Why am I here and they're not here?
Yeah.
That's a question. And so when
Yeah.
you ask that question, you say, okay, since I don't have the answer for it, I'm going to trust that I'm here because there's something that I need to do, and I'm going to figure that out. And so then that kind of gets you on a new track. Are you going to slide back in, there every now and again have moments? Yes. But little by little, you're going to start seeing yourself build this new foundation every
Mhm.
time, every day that you get another opportunity to get up and start thinking about it. So that's kind of where I'm at today, building a new foundation. I'm, I have not, I will never accept that my husband passing is a good thing. That will never, ever be a reality to me, because it's not. And I think it's important for us to tell people that are grieving that it's okay for you not to think that it's okay. It's not a good thing. It's never going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
It's never going to be a good thing.
It goes
But
back to
that
that.
doesn't mean that I have to act like it's a horrible thing for me today. It was the day it happened, but it's not today.
Yeah. And that's beautiful. And I thank you for sharing that. And it's just so different for everybody, right? It's different. And what they need to hear is exactly what you just said and how you said it, because the way that you're communicating to me just gave me so many light bulbs, so many warm feelings. And there are a million people out there that communicate like us that can't hear the other messages that are given, because it's the form of communication and the way that you embrace language is so different.
Right.
So yeah, it's something, it's definitely tied together. all of it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's to be spoken about. So
I think so. I think what's important is there are a lot of people out there saying a lot of things. There are a lot of people sharing a lot of experiences. And I think what's important is that we seek out multiple um, uh, media, multiple sources, so
mhm.
that we can determine which one is going to suit us the best. And one may not suit us the best. You may take a piece from here, you take a piece from there, you take a piece from there, but they're all, when you bring it all together, it gives you exactly what you need. So don't just get
Yeah,
caught up in settling in with one source of information or
absolutely.
one point of view, because even if they're saying everything that you're against, right? They might have one thing that changes everything for you. So don't shut down when people are talking to you because they don't say things that you want them to say. Just listen to what they have to say. And as my sister would say, take the meat and throw out the bones and, and be filled.
I love hearing these things. I'm like, wait, what? I love it.
My sister, when she first said it, I thought, hmm? And then I realized, I was like, okay, great. So what she was saying was that a lot of times what happens is as soon as you start talking to somebody, you be like, not mine, nope, deal breaker, don't, don't want to hear you, womp, 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 womp. And
Oh man, that
everything
automatic
they said,
response. You're blocking your blessings. If I had a cartoon, it would be blocked. You block the window of opportunity, another window of opportunity because you
right,
keep saying no. We're creatures of habits. That's so interesting that you say we're creatures of habit. We like our brain likes repetitive things because we get comfortable and we just sit in there. And then even if it's not good information coming in, you're still consuming it. Your subconscious is taking all of that in. So to, like you said, pick things that you like and fill your soul with all the things so you have a cushion to pull from when the door shuts on one side of your life. You have other things to pull from. And that's so significant. And I can think about, like, as you're talking, I'm like, when have I been? I've never been like, I move like water. I can't sit still. I can't. It's just not in my DNA to sit still. I had goals to travel the world. My grandfather traveled the world. He definitely fostered that within me and he moves through me. And so does God. Like it's part of me. I love to learn new things and sitting still for too long is just not an option. And I think sitting in class for 8 hours a day is just not okay still. That is not okay. And
a lot.
we learn so much when we're moving and we're watching other people and we're just a part of something so much bigger than ourselves, especially when you're able to remove your armor, the armor. Like when you're able to do that, you're just so much more open to taking in information and not shutting down and blocking your windows of blessings at that point. But you got to be in wherever you're meant to be, you're meant to be. So we're meant to be here and share this message. And I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. You have so many good stuff. Talking to you just like makes me so happy. Yeah.
You know what? Somebody said something when you were just speaking about that. Something came back to me when somebody had made a comment about us. You said we're creatures of habit, and they made a comment and they said innately we we migrate to what is comfortable. That's
Yes.
who we are. So we want to be comfortable, but we need to be uncomfortable in order to have change, in order
Growth.
to grow.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've learned, and I've learned this because I was a fearful person. I grew up with fear. I was afraid of everything growing up. I was afraid to talk. I was afraid to say anything. As soon as I had to speak up for myself, my voice would just crumble, tears come out of my eyes. That was me.
Yeah.
And what I've learned now is that thing that I fear the most, I need to take a step towards it. I need to take a step towards it. And once I take a step towards it, Trish, every time my mind's been blown on what is available to me.
Yeah.
on all the things that was like, so many things are available to me that would not be available to me if I didn't take a step towards it. So whatever that fear is,
Lean into it.
lean,
Just
just a little bit,
a
just a
little
little
bit.
bit.
Yeah. Build your tolerance with it, right? That window of
Yes.
tolerance, like stretch, just keep stretching a little bit. And when you feel like it's too much, okay, we'll try again tomorrow and we'll do it again tomorrow. It's that practice, that daily practice instead of the daily avoidance.
Good. That's good, Trish. That's exactly right. I had that yesterday. Yesterday I was walking, because I'm always trying to do something, but I was walking yesterday, walking my dog, and I thought, oh, okay, I have a different pass. One pass a 2-miler, one pass like a 1.5 miles, another pass 5 miles, whatever. So I get to my 2-mile, and then that's where I'm supposed to turn so I can get to my 2-mile. And I thought, I could do that and I could be done, right? And then I said, no, I'm going to keep walking. So I keep walking towards the 3-miler. And then I finally get to that turn. I make that turn and I come down and I'm thinking, wow, I feel great. And then I hear it says, you're done. You just did a 5K. And I said, really? I should just keep going. So that was my experience. So I finished like all these extra steps only because I just kept going. And one last thing about that is that you only get stuck where you stop. I heard that in a sermon. You only get stuck where you stop. If you don't stop, you won't be stuck. So keep going.
That is so profound, because now I'm thinking about the ways in which we get stuck and what that looks like, because it's not just as simple as the word sounds. It's so much heavier than that. What is considered being stuck? And when I think about that for me, and I've told you, I'm going through, we're literally going through some things out here, transitioning, taking our world from a comfortable Sierra Vista, Arizona, and uprooting the roots. And we went to Europe, right? During the pandemic, mind you, with teenagers. So we are in that space. We were in that space because there were so many things going on and people are going in their directions. And it's easy to get stuck when you are exhausted and tired. When you are exhausted, the mind doesn't have the energy to sustain this constant movement. The body needs to rest. And what I've noticed and what I've been studying, because I have to study things to put words into it so it's real and so I could live it, right? Like immerse myself into these experiences. And I always say study because I've come from a space where, yes, I grew up in I have adverse childhood experiences, and we all do. But understanding that is you're getting labeled ADHD and you're getting labeled all these things when in truth, your mind is exhausted and you can't function. That's all it is. Allow yourself to rest, and without substances and pressures and labels and having to be at school for 8 hours a day. Okay. So getting stuck is exhaustion, AKA exhaustion, rock bottom for yourself and your tolerance. And I think that's what people need to understand. You need rest. You need nutrition. You need all of this stuff is so important, and it's not accessible to everybody. And that's an issue. And I'm absolutely grateful to be in this space and to sit here and be talking to you right now, because I wasn't in this space as a child and as a teenager. It was tough. It was tough. And it was because I was already at risk. You're at the at-risk category. That's what that stuff means. And so now we're breeding a generation that they do feel stuck, and they genuinely, they are because they can't get past this thought, because they can't have access unless you go through the system and they put you through the ring. Granted, God willing, you get somebody who really, really is empathetic and cares and not burned out. But let's be realistic. Those jobs are tough. We've done it.
They are tough.
And so
They're
we're finding
totally.
other ways to reach this population and let them know, hey, I get it. I get where you are. I get where you are and why communication, when you get stuck and you're exhausted, guess what else goes? Your ability to communicate. so,
Absolutely. Well,
so
too bad for, and so, and it really is a challenge for the kids because studies have shown that the children should not be going to school at 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning. Studies have shown that. You know how
Germans show
long
that
it
too.
takes that, you know how long it takes them to get going, and by the time it's time to get going, they've already missed half the day. And so studies have shown that. I mean, it's so many studies that have shown that that just doesn't work. They
It
don't,
doesn't work.
they don't have enough people thinking about why things are not working to change, the norm on this school thing. So I feel really bad about kids on that. But yeah, all of those things, you can't keep moving because you don't have the energy to keep moving. That is exactly right. And that's why we have to make sure that we have people in our lives who are who are strong when we are weak.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's a mismatch every single time. It will be
Yeah.
a mismatch.
They'll pick us up.
Mhm.
They will pick us up when we're down. And that's why it's important. And that's why, like, I always ask people, do you have a friend? Okay, what do you mean you don't have one person that you can be completely honest with about whatever it is? One
Yeah.
person. And if you don't, I can put money on this that you got a lot going on in your head. There's a lot going on in your head that needs to be settled if you don't.
Sure. Sure.
So, so we
Especially
all
if you
need
don't,
that.
especially if you don't come from a foundation that has taught you to, certain ways of thinking. Because then we tap into the spiritual side of what you just said. Spirituality has been huge for me. And it has come in so many different forms. I went to a Jewish school. I went to a public school. I lived in the Muslim community. Chinatown,
Love it. I
I'm
love it.
blessed, right? I've got to experience all of this as a teenager to say that when I was turning into a teen, I always found peace of mind in somebody's church, somebody's Pentecostal. Like I found peace of mind. That's where I played. That's where I was invited. That's where I felt safe most times.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
it took that one person to say, hey, do you have somebody to call? And I just be like, no. And they're like, I'm gonna get you something to eat. Go ahead and have a seat. Get comfortable. I'll take care of you.
Right.
And that's so significant. And I cringe at the thought that, of people not having access to that and having to go virtual because how the hell?
No, yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it really is true, this whole virtual thing. I mean, there's a place for it for sure.
Yeah,
And it's beneficial to a lot of people, but we should not have one and not the other. We need to have both.
we need to
And
have both.
so
Yeah.
we have to have both. And we have to meet people where they are, right?
And find a way to do that because that's been a tough one too. And I know we've talked, how long have we been talking about this? For about a year and a half, like as long as I've been in Germany. I'm like, Dee, I really want to do something big, but I'm not really sure. And I always found you inspiring and I need to talk to, I have executives in my life, people that I rank personally, and I do this to myself. I rank people and I'm like, and I don't rank them in numbers or anything. I just feel like if I'm coming in, I'm always looking for a mentor in my life. And that's where I talk about the ranking. For you, when I look back at everything and I had time to pause and stop because I wasn't pausing and stopping at all, I'm like, who was I inspired by and who did I feel comfortable and was strong enough to meet me where I was at and take me further? And I say me because I can only take care of myself and then take care of others. But as a first responder, who do we get to turn to when things are not going smooth or where I fall short? And I'm sure there's another way to say this, but this is my language. So I thought, man, you came to mind, and I was like, I have felt a pull. When I'm meditating, I start feeling a pull, like you need to call.
Right.
reach out.
Right.
And that pull was so strong. And talking to you has really helped me organize my thoughts as far as like, yeah, I wanted to do a podcast and I wanted to do it for so long, but the move happened. My brain was fried. I was completely exhausted and overtaxed for about 1.5 years, which means I couldn't function. And so I appreciate all those calls because I was like, whew, I'm tired. But it's like understanding, who am I reaching? Who is, because what I thought it was has really changed in this last 1.5 years. Like it flipped. I don't even know. I'm so excited, but what I thought when I swore was going to be it was not it. And this is something that people are dealing with right now. What you think you want is nothing compared to what is being ready to be given to you. And how do we explain that little space right there to people that are listening right now that
That's
don't
so
have
good. Oh, that's good, Trish. That's really good. Let me tell you something. I'm in a community group that is amazing, and we do calls every day. And one of the questions that we had on the call today was specifically that, what you just asked. And and so one of the answers that came up was, first of all, how do you determine that the call that you had before, that this new call is a call? Like, where'd you get it from? What gave you the notion that there's a new thing that you need to be doing? It's not what I thought. You need to identify how did that come about? Because here's the thing, I believe that God is not an author of confusion, is the first piece. And secondly, he's an author of finishing.
Yeah.
You need to finish. And so if you believe that you are going in this one direction, then how are you, and you say, oh, now I believe that it's this. Okay, that's fine. Then how are you going to finish this? You have to close this out in a way that is right, orderly or whatever. So you need to finish that. You need to put some kind of stamp on it saying, okay, that's done. Now I'm moving into what I believe is the right thing now. And that's the start of it. The start of it is to make sure you don't just say, oh, well, I was building a house over there, but now I'm going to go over here and build a car. No, that's not what you do. You need to say, okay, I was building that house. What can I do to close out on building that house? I'm obviously not going to finish building it. Can I hand it off to somebody? What can I do to ensure that that's going to be finished some kind of way, in my mind, per se? So you need to close out that first piece. Some kind of way you need to say, okay, and now you need to shift into this new thing. But when you're shifting into this new thing, you need to make sure that you have, it may not be the grand plan. How are you thinking that that's going to fit into your life, your purpose, with your gift? Because you know what your gift is, Trish. Your gift is to give, to pour out, to share, to help people understand, identify, to help people maximize, all these different words. That's part of your gift. And so what you need to do now that you've decided that you're going to be doing this thing is make sure that this thing is employing your gifts. How am I going to inspire when I do this? How am I going to how am I going to be impactful when I do this? How am I going to, whatever it is, that's what you need to do. You need to make sure that whatever this thing is, your gifts fit in it. Because if your gifts don't fit in it, it ain't right.
Work.
No.
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 And it's so that kind of clears the path a little bit, because you're like, uh-oh, well, that don't do that. That's not going to do that. That's not going to do that. The most important thing that we need to make sure that we're doing every day, Trish, is exercising our gift. That's how it's going to grow. The question every day. The question every day. What am I going to grow? What am I doing? How am I doing? How am I growing today? How am I growing today? Not how am I doing today? How am I growing today?
Like that.
That's my quote. how am I growing today?
I'm gonna quote that for you.
That's a D ward.
That's a D word. Thank you for that, because
Yes.
I'm putting that on the thumbnail for sure.
Yeah, how am I growing? Because yeah, you have to make sure that, you know, whatever this new thing is, and whatever, whenever it is something, how does, not how are my gifts going to fit into it? How is it going to fit into my gift?
That's the question right there. That is phenomenal. Say that one more time.
Yeah, not how is it, how am I going to fit into this new thing? How is this new thing going to fit into my gift?
Yeah.
It has to
Yeah.
work with your gift, because your gift is, that's you, that's it, that's you. Everything else needs to come in. Yeah, you know, like, come through. Everything else has to come through your gift.
So you should be speaking in public.
That's what I have to say about that. So
You
yeah,
should be
some
speaking in
questions.
public, because the notion is it's the opposite. That's what we've been taught, the opposite. So unlearning that is the sweet spot
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
for recognizing that.
Absolutely. So here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm thinking. Because, you know, like, I love talking to you, and I love talking to you because I'm practicing. And I'm practicing because I told you, I have this fear, like this terrible internal fear, but I feel safe with you. And I feel like, you know, I feel like I can trust myself in your space. And because of that, it allows me an opportunity to be able to pour out without unapologetically. And so I'm practicing what I believe is going to be the thing that I'm going to be doing in the future. But I do it every day. I'm practicing every day.
Mhm, mhm.
Every day I'm trying to pour into somebody. Every day I'm trying to, you know, help somebody to better understand what they're thinking, and, you know, what they're doing and what they're going to do and why they're doing it every day. That is my goal every day, to try to help anybody. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what you sound like.
Mhm.
I don't care where you
Absolutely.
are. I don't care.
Absolutely.
But that's what I'm doing every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
And my
I'm,
fear, I thank you for sharing your fear with me. Um, and I'm honored that you feel safe to remove your armor when you're speaking with me. And it goes both ways. My fear was being in front of this camera. Whew. My
a lot.
fear is speaking in front of people in general. Although I'm a good speaker, because I've perfectionized and mirrored how to perform very well through
Right.
NCAA. Thank you very much. But you
Right.
know, that's what I learned from that whole era of playing sports. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you can't just show up. Like, you got to prepare. You got to practice every single day for hours, day in, and it's got to be like an automatic response. And that was good for me, because I have general anxiety around,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because of the things that I've come through. And it's not that it's like a hindrance. I don't say that as a crutch. I say that because it's a feeling in which I've had to overcome in time, and it's taken a lot to get to this space. So now the world
Right.
decides to go virtual and make another world, and now I'm like, oh my God, like, what? You got to put yourself out there. So I thank you, because it has been significant for me. And I didn't realize it was fearful until I had to sit down and really identify, what are you worried about? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something I had to lean into. So with you, it was like, well, obviously I'm not scared to talk, because we talk naturally. You know, what exactly is that? So, you know, it's nice to have somebody to, yeah, that you can remove your armor, open up to have these conversations with, so that you could really find and understand what your gift is. And it's pouring
Mm-hmm.
into others, but some people need a little bit more than knowing that it's, you know, how do I, like you said, how do you, does it fit into what you bring?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
so significant.
Mm-hmm. It really is. And I think when I'm thinking about you, and you put the word fear out there, and I think about you, and you say, well, what is my fear? I think the fear, I mean, for most of us, on just on a simplistic level, is the fear of rejection. And what that means is that nobody's going to take what I'm saying seriously. So
Yeah.
you're always concerned about that. Am I going to go out here and I'm going to look crazy? What I'm saying, is it really valid? Is it, is anybody going to take it seriously? And I think that's the major fear of it. It's, you have to be sold out on your gift. And so for me, what I've learned is that I've decided that I'm going to operate in my gift, even if I have an audience of one.
Nice. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. All right, so we're about to close out. We got a couple minutes. I've got some questions for you, and all you have to do is fill in the blank.
Okay.
Okay. I'll read it out to you, and you'll just let me know, fill in the blank. So the first one is, one of my truth is.
I'm genuine.
Okay. My favorite color is.
Violet.
Violet. Would that be pink or purple?
Purple.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Purple. It's purple and pink.
Okay. All right. Solitude allows me to.
Hear from God.
And last one. What is the biggest lesson you've learned in the last 12 months?
One of the biggest lessons that I've learned in the last 12 months is the same lesson that I've learned many times, is that the truth don't always need to be told by me.
Nice.
By
Beautiful.
me.
Beautiful. Thank you, Deneen Ward, for coming today and blessing us with your presence and being so very honest. We're going to collaborate one day and figure something out.
We are. Listen, I got some first quarter goals that I'm accomplishing. And once I get these first quarter goals, I'm on to quarter two, and quarter two is going to be lined up with something that you're going to be very interested in. So we'll talk about that.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. All right. Take care of yourself. And I'm going to follow up with you because, we're basically on two journeys right now, and we're going to meet back up and we're going to revisit and see where we're at and how much we've progressed.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much again for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope that me being able to just give some of my heart to people would make a difference in at least one person's life.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. And you have a good evening, because it's evening time, right?
Oh, Lord. Yeah, it's like 8:30. 8:30 p.m. here. What time is it for you?
12:30.
Boy, it's been so fun scheduling.
Yeah, and